well, we're talking and you're all listening in. This is my friend Kristin Cherry. So now she is willing to talk to us about a career path that went from IT to project management to now her own successful business. And we're going to talk about all that. So hi.
Hi, thanks for interviewing me. This is fun.
Thanks for freeing up some time. I'm sure my class will love to hear your point of view. One of my first questions, though, is why IT? Because honestly, when we were playing ball together, I never thought, yeah, she's going in. Like, why did you pick that direction?
It's funny, just funny story, just to show how non-IT I was. Is I remember in high school they started offering a computer class when I was in high school, and I didn't take it because I said, why would I ever take a computer class? I'll never use computers. So back in the whenever that was, in the late 80s. So, but I was working at the University of Buffalo, and I was just updating our website because our webmaster never had time to do it because she supported the whole School of Management. So I learned how to do simple text updates on websites. And then when I was working at Teletech, the human resources manager looked at my resume and saw I had experience updating web pages. And the IT manager there offered me a job as basically a computer programmer. And it was funny, he showed me the job description and I read it and I didn't understand it. Like I didn't even know what VB script or HTML or SQL. And like I said, I don't suffer from a false sense of humility when I tell you I'm not qualified for this job. So the next day they called me out of my training class because I was in training for another job at the company, and he said, I'm not asking you if you're qualified, I'm asking you if you can learn it, and the rest is history. So I ended up starting out as a programmer in IT.
Awesome. So what kind of, for some background, what kind of education or certification background did you have when you...
So I didn't have any kind of educational or certification background that supported a job in IT. So a lot of times when people say, they don't have an IT, like a computer science degree, I'm kind of skeptical that you can't break into IT since I did, but...
There's hope for me.
There's hope, yeah. So I had a psychology degree that was in the neuroscience concentration because I wanted to be a neurologist. So I had a neuroscience undergraduate degree, and I didn't have any certifications at that time. All my certifications that I have now are related to the current profession I have.
Great. So we'll get to your current profession, but first I want to ask some questions about things that might be of interest to my classmates, since we're all women. From various walks of life. Just what was it like when you first started in IT for women in the field?
So it was, I think, it was 2000, I think, when I started in IT, and there were no women programmers. There were 2 women that worked in the IT department on help desk, but I was the only woman in the IT suite where the network administrators and the programmers and things like that were. And it was really kind of a strange experience because the culture was the men would actually look at pornography sometimes during the day on their computers. So it was a really weird experience going into this male-dominated field. And I felt like at the time that I had to accept their world because it wasn't really fair for them to have to change the way they worked because I was going into that field. And my perspective has changed, but I felt like I had to kind of change to their environment.
Yeah.
Since it was, their boys club and I was coming in.
So you kind of led the way for other women, I guess, maybe. I don't know if you think about it that way, but I would imagine that would have been very difficult and hard to do, but you persevered. And you went into like project management, even though you say that that wasn't actually your title. My teacher says project management, it's not like people are like, yeah, I want to do that. It kind of happens to them. And I just wanted to have some kind of idea of how that happened to you for my classmates.
So, of course, IT is pretty much nothing but projects. It's project work.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're releasing a new software application or building a new system, whatever you're doing, it's all project-based, where you have timelines and budgets and cross-functional work teams. And so I ended up just being a lead from the IT software side, and I was responsible for managing multiple projects and multiple people mostly for software development.
What were some of the favorite projects that you've worked on, like either in IT or now with your own business that you've moved on to?
Well, in IT, I worked on hundreds of projects because the first job I had, I was managing projects for Fortune 500 companies, so Verizon and Blockbuster Video at the time. But my favorite project was when I built a web service for the Department of Defense, and that was really cool because I was competing for that project against FedEx, and I was just one programmer creating this web service system. Basically, they had servicemen on the deck at the water. They needed to ship packages, and they needed to get labels on them, and so I won't go into the technical detail, but basically I had to create this software that they could be sitting with a laptop on what do you call it, a boating dock, and have enter in the specs, and then it would print out the labels so they could ship military supplies around the world. And so that was a really cool project that I worked on. But
Awesome.
I would say the projects helping patients gain access to medications in healthcare were probably the most fulfilling, because a lot of patients can't afford their copays on their prescriptions, and so those programs that I was responsible for, those projects help people actually have life-saving medication.
Awesome. So, what kind of advice would you have for anyone considering getting into project management, like as a caution or just a heads up, maybe?
Well, there's a few things. First of all, I think the primary thing is that there's a lot of moving parts in project management, and a lot of people, and so you don't manage those people. They have other managers, but they're on your projects. And so you have to be able to influence people that don't report to you. So if you're not comfortable having to influence without authority, that's one thing. The second thing is you have to be able to stay on top of a lot of details. So if someone's not particularly organized or not able to multitask and juggle a lot of information and details and people, it's going to be really stressful.
Okay. And can you tell us now what was your big aha moment, I guess, or whatever, when you decided to leave project management? How did you come across your idea for your current business?
Well, it's funny, I was actually just doing career coaching within the company that I was working in and realized that I liked people better than projects. And I'm not a big extrovert. I like helping people. And also I did a values exercise. I looked at what was most important to me. And autonomy is one of my top values. So I really wanted to work for myself. But I really just enjoy helping people solve their career problems.
Have you helped other people that were in your position, like maybe working on project management, solve their problem of what's next, I guess?
Absolutely. I've worked with project managers to help them transition into new roles. I've helped people transition into project management that wanted to become project managers. And I have IT project manager clients that are just kind of looking to get to the next step in their career. So I've worked with project managers, getting in and out of that field.
Okay. And so what are some of the next steps that they're selecting or geared towards? Are a lot of them their own business or?
Well, every client is different. I've helped about 200 people in the last 2 years. A lot of times people don't realize how transferable their skills are. So one of the first steps I do with people is I sit down and figure out what are the transferable skills that you have. And project management is a really great field because you probably have more transferable skills doing that line of work than just about anything else, because when you think about all of the things that you do as a project manager, managing meetings, influencing people, motivating people, breaking down projects into steps, there's documentation, there's reporting, there's client relationship management, there's vendor relationship management in some case, negotiating skills, facilitating, public speaking, presentation skills. Project management, even if people don't end up staying in that field, it's a really great springboard for other careers because of the number of skills, both relationship-oriented and task-oriented skills that career gives you.
Yeah. Sounds like it's really, really great, and I'm sure you are excellent at it because you're a great people person. I'm just wondering now, can you tell us a bit, like you did talk a bit about your business, but I kind of would like to know, like, what are some of the up-and-coming things that you have on your plate?
So recently I started to have this epiphany that I wanted to reinvent myself again. I think your career is something that always gets reinvented. If we keep sitting in the same spot in neutral, I think we tend to get a little restless, most people anyway. So I enjoy what I'm doing, but I thought, what do I want to do in the next 5 years? So I've hired a consultant I've been working with to help me narrow my focus. And the things I like doing most are writing, doing keynotes, and I like doing workshops with people to help them understand their strengths. I'm really passionate about that. So I'm working on my second book. It's called 5 Surprising Steps to Land the Job Now. And I'm working on my first TEDx talk.
So, but yeah, the TED Talks, they're amazing. Like I watch so many of them. They touch on so many different topics, and they're always innovators and leaders in the field. So I'm excited for you that you're doing that. That's amazing.
Thank you. It's about suffering from a case of the Mondays.
Thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. I know you're so busy, and I hope that we get to see each other not on Skype sometime soon and have a sit down and just catch up.
That'd be fun. Thank you.
Right. Take care. Have a good day. Tell everyone I said hi.